Hello, everyone. Matt Clark, research analyst for Money Markets here with your latest Bull and the Bear podcast. As I've done for the last couple of weeks, I do want to remind everyone that Adam O'Dell's Millionaire Masterclass did launch a few weeks ago. In it, he explains a strategy that he leans pretty heavily on the principle of buy high, sell higher. And it's a strategy he used to retire at the age of 33. You really don't want to miss it. You want to check it out. Just head over to www.theinvestingsecret.com and you can find out more about this great strategy and how Adam has used it even to this day to help his readers make money. Now, on with today's podcast. The other day, I had one of my sons come up to me and ask me about how to get started investing in the stock market. I was pretty giddy about that, actually. I hadn't really expected that out of really any of my kids, but even him. And so I spent a little time. And I told him about getting the basics down about understanding the stock market, knowing how it works, what's one thing, what's another. Just trying to get the basics, not really a full in-depth learning experience, but just understand how the market really works. So, and I also kind of gave him my speech about, investing in what you know, don't invest any more money than what you're willing to lose, just the basic mantras that we all hear and that some live by and some don't. But they're ones that I wanted to make sure that he understood and that he knew about. Now, I asked him what he was interested in terms of what kind of stocks he wanted to buy or what he wanted to do. And of course, the initial response was he wants to make money. And I said, well, everyone in the market wants to make money. No one gets in the stock market to lose money. So I said, but you really want to have something that you're interested in. Invest in what you're interested in. Invest in what you know. And he really wasn't sure. And that's understandable. It's not, those stock markets, 10,000 plus stocks. It's a big range to cover. I was really just happy that he asked and showed me interest. But then I started thinking, it hit me, what do I tell them about an exchange traded fund or an ETF? So I told them what ETFs were. They're basically just like stocks you can buy and sell in the market. They own a basket of stocks in a particular sector or an index, and they track that index. So you've got ETFs that buy the S&P 500. You have ETFs that buy technology, that buy healthcare, that buy they track all these. There's ETFs out there. There's even emerging market ETFs. There's a wide range of ETFs out there. So I thought that would be a good way to maybe get him started into thinking about stocks and thinking about what he's interested in without having to go through, thousands upon thousands of charts and data points and things like that to try to figure out what he wanted to invest in. So he asked me how much money ETFs could make, and I tried to explain it to him just a little bit differently than the traditional, you can make X or you can make Y. So I compared 4 different ETFs to him and tried to show him kind of what that looks like. I looked at the PowerShares Nasdaq 100 Index ETF, which is QQQ. I looked at the Spider S&P 500 ETF, which is SPY. I looked at the Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF, which is VTI. And I looked at the iShares Russell 1000 ETF, which is IWB. Again, I just picked a kind of a broad sector of ETFs. I didn't really want to get into anything specific. And then I showed him the returns that each one of those ETFs has had since the start of the year. Now, SPY, VTI, and IWE are all kind of performing in line from between 13 to 15% returns year to date. Now, QQQ, on the other hand, is up around 43% year to date. So he astutely pointed out to me that QQQ is doing better than all the rest. Well, that's true. But then he asked a question that really got me thinking about this, and that is, are other ETFs out there that are even better? And that's a great question, because actually there are. I started doing some digging, and I actually found a really great one. I haven't told him about it yet, but I did find one. Once I found it, it dawned on me that, it's not one of those, elusive ETFs covering some subsector of a subsector that you've never heard of before. It's actually an ETF that's on the cutting edge of biotechnology. And it's one that I've talked with Adam O'Dell a lot about, for months now. It's one that comes up on a regular basis. You see, back in May of 2020, Adam actually recommended a stock to his Green Zone Fortune readers in the same sector that this ETF is that I'm going to tell you about. It's a company that's on the forefront of the battle against the coronavirus, but it's not one you've likely ever heard of before in the financial press. Right now, that recommendation is up about 241% since he told his readers about it in May, which leads me to this outstanding ETF that's already beating the market and one that I feel is going to continue to produce strong gains going into 2021. You see, at the heart of any vaccine, just to kind of circle back and tie all this together, at the heart of any vaccine or other medical breakthrough is genomics, not genetics. Genomics. Genomics is a field of biology that focuses on the structure, the function, the evolution, and the mapping of the human genome, basically the core of what makes us, us. human illnesses are by and large traced back to the human genome. Genomics looks at DNA sequencing to help find ways to combat those illnesses. Genomics have also even led to the study of DNA to be used for actual data storage. Kind of impressive. It's a lot more technical than that. There's a lot more I can get into it about it, but I won't get into things like computational biology or things like that. Now back to this ETF. This ETF I found is the ARC Genomic Revolution ETF. It trades on the CBOE or BATS, whichever, the Chicago Board of Exchange or the BATS under ARKG, ARKG. It invests in companies that are at the forefront of genomics. These are companies that are helping to battle diseases like sickle cell disease, beta thalassemia, and a wide range. And of course, the coronavirus. Some of the companies that are held by ARKG include Teladoc Health, CRISPR Therapeutics. I'm going to talk a little bit more about CRISPR here in just a second and why that's important. Now, these are companies whose research are helping companies develop new, more effective therapies for a variety of ailments. Again, not to mention COVID-19. The performance of this ETF year to date is actually pretty extraordinary. From its March 2020 lows to today, the ETF has gained 228.4%. Its year-to-date gain, 185%. On top of that, it's got an expense ratio of 0, and it comes with an annual dividend yield of about 1.04%, which isn't great, but it's something. ARKG's indicated annual dividend right now is about $1.05 a share. Again, not massive, but not anything you want to kick away to the curb. And while the gains ARKG have seen to date are impressive, I honestly think there's more to come. Its largest holding, I remember I was telling you about this, CRISPR Therapeutics. They recently unveiled strong results for trial testing for sickle cell and beta thalassemia. Now, CRISPR has been up more than 335% since March of 2020. The bottom line here is that genomics are taking front and center stage in the battle against human illnesses. It's a relatively new science, but it's one that's gaining a ton of steam. And it's not just for sickle cell. You look at cancer, you look at coronavirus. All these things, genomics are playing a part in trying to find therapeutics and so hopefully in one day, eradicate them. And ARKG is holding companies that are on the front lines of that battle. And this means the potential for big profits is there for you as an investor. So, and to answer my son's question about anything better than QQQ, well, ARKG is up 185% compared to QQQ, which is up only 43%. And I think ARKG is on its way up even higher. But to take advantage of that uptrend, you probably want to get in now if it's something that interests you. Again, they hold a wide basket of stocks, and it's not necessarily one of those ETFs you've really ever heard of before, and the companies they hold are ones you've probably never heard of before. But it is a very strong ETF, and as we start seeing more and more money pumped into research for things like the coronavirus, sickle cell, cancer, things like that, genomics are going to be at the forefront, and these companies are going to profit. And if you hold something like ARKG, so are you. Now, make sure you check out our YouTube channel. Just head over to youtube.com, search Money in Markets. Will be the one with the green bull and the bear logo. Make sure you hit subscribe, and then when the notification bell comes up, make sure you mash that, and you get notified each and every time we release a new video. If you want to listen to the Bull and the Bear as a traditional podcast, you can do that as well. You can check out your favorite podcast syndicator, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and about 30 others, including those that are specific to countries like India. We are actually on podcast channels there, and I'd like to thank all of our listeners in India and around the world that listen to the Bull and the Bear each and every week. Make sure you subscribe to your favorite podcast syndicator, subscribe to us on your favorite podcast syndicator, rather, and then get alerted each and every time a new podcast is released. Leave us a comment or review on any of these platforms. You can leave us a comment on our YouTube channel. Leave us a review on a podcast syndicator. Whichever you'd like. We'd love to see your feedback. If you have any comments or questions or particular stock or sector you'd like us to take a look at here on The Bull and the Bear, email me at thebullandthebear@moneyandmarkets.com. And one more thing, just I'd be remiss, if you haven't already, go to moneyandmarkets.com. Make sure you sign up for our free e-letter that comes out each and every day, Saturday to Sunday, or Sunday to Saturday, rather. Each and every day, you get 2 to 3 stories written by folks like myself, Adam O'Dell, Charles Sizemore, Michael Carr, trying to provide you safe and sound investment information that you can best use to bolster your portfolio's wealth. And also, again, don't forget to head over to The Investing Secret to find out more about Adam's Millionaire Masterclass. We're going to have a little bit more. We're going to change the holiday schedule just a little bit because we're going to take some time off to be with our families over the Christmas holiday. So we're going to still be sending some things out, maybe just not as frequent. So I don't want to tease necessarily what's coming up because we're still kind of working out the schedule. But we will have much, much more with the Marijuana Market Update. We'll have one more weekend ahead before the end of the year, and then we won't have another one until probably the first of 2021. And then we'll have more from the Bull and the Bear podcast. But until then, this is Money and Markets research analyst Matt Clark, wishing you all safe trading.